Tel Aviv announces the start of retaliation. Houthis welcome it. Trump, I didn't expect this from the Houthis. Russia apologizes.
Israel's defense minister has threatened to assassinate Abdul Malik al-Houthi, saying that if the Houthis continue launching missiles at Israel, they'll be hit with painful strikes. He also mentioned going after what he called the heads of terror, similar to what Israel did with al-Daif and Sinwar.
More than 10 warplanes reportedly took part in airstrikes on Yemen, but the targets were already inactive, previously hit by both the Americans and the Israelis. So what's really new here?
Meanwhile, the Houthis have shut down Ben Gurion Airport.
Russia has expressed support for Yemen against Tel Aviv, and even Washington has admitted that the Houthis haven't backed down. They've shown off new weapons we've never seen before, and an F-35 stealth fighter nearly went down. Tel Aviv has announced financial losses of between $3.5 and $5 billion due to the Houthi attacks. From Doha, Trump commented that the events of October 7th were terrifying.
The UAE even closed the Sheikh Zayed Mosque for a full day in honor of Trump.
Syrian official Walid al-Muallim announced the start of negotiations with Tel Aviv, while Washington offered Iran a written proposal. Tehran responded by saying that the talks were proof of its victory on the battlefield. Zelensky admitted to something serious, and Washington laid out conditions for successful negotiations with Ukraine. The conflict shows no signs of ending. Tel Aviv barely had time to process the U.S. Houthi ceasefire before facing near-daily attacks from the Houthis. According to Reuters, Houthi spokesperson Yahya Saree announced that a hypersonic ballistic missile struck Ben Gurion Airport, halting flights and sending millions of Israelis into shelters. Dozens of families fled areas around Sana'a Airport fearing Israeli retaliation, especially after earlier strikes and new threats of escalation following Houthi attacks on Israeli targets.
The situation is really tense, and the region is on edge.
During a UN Security Council meeting, Russia warned about growing U.S. military involvement in Yemen and Israel's escalation in Gaza, saying these actions could widen the conflict in the region.
Previous American bombings of Yemen's infrastructure caused a humanitarian disaster without achieving any political goals. Even Washington recently admitted the military option was ineffective. We urge Tel Aviv to avoid hostile steps toward Yemen, warning of a broader regional conflict. While Moscow doesn't justify Houthi attacks, they're seen as a reaction to the situation in Gaza.
Meanwhile, the U.S. site The War Zone reported that Yemen's mobile air defense systems, which use infrared tracking, have proven capable of threatening stealth aircraft like the F-35, something the U.S. military sees as an important learning opportunity from the battlefield. MSNBC reported that the ceasefire Trump announced with Yemen isn't actually a sign of victory, but rather a result of America's failure to meet its objectives through airstrikes. They noted that Trump concealed the fact that the Houthis hadn't retreated militarily. Also, according to the BBC, U.S. Navy Secretary John P. Villan told Congress that operations in the Red Sea have drained the Navy's missile stockpiles, forcing coordination with defense industries to restock. Israeli state media reported that the country's tourism sector has suffered losses of between $3.5 and $5 billion due to the Houthi attacks and rising security tensions. As Trump's Gulf tour continued, he spoke from Doha, Qatar, calling the events of October 7th some of the most terrifying in modern history. He said the U.S. is holding talks with Hamas, Iran, and the Houthis, warning that any similar attacks in the future would be met with military responses.
During his visit to the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, Trump expressed gratitude, calling the mosque's closure in his honor an unprecedented move and a great honor for the U.S. The White House also announced that Trump had signed new deals with the UAE worth $200 billion and fast-tracked older investments that could total between $1.4 and $4 trillion.
What crazy numbers, the writer exclaims, and jokingly adds, what if Ivanka had joined the trip? You probably would have sealed a $3 trillion deal. Back to the Palestinian front. Sources say no progress has been made in Gaza ceasefire talks. The Israeli delegation in Doha didn't offer anything new, and the mediators couldn't do much. The Palestinians reject a previous Israeli offer. Negotiations continue. The Palestinian movement has reportedly rejected a previous Israeli proposal. Meanwhile, Israeli broadcaster Kan reported that Prime Minister Netanyahu is holding security consultations regarding the ongoing negotiations in Doha. In a notable statement, opposition leader Yair Lapid told the families of Israeli detainees, "We're just one cabinet decision away from completing a prisoner exchange deal." On the other side, AFP quoted former U.S. President Donald Trump proposing to turn Gaza into a free zone, suggesting U.S. intervention to enforce peace. "I'd be proud to help create a safe zone where good things can happen," Trump said. He added, "We must deal with the Palestinian movement, but let's not forget, October 7th was one of the most brutal attacks in the world." A Palestinian official responded firmly, saying, "Gaza is not for sale." From Gaza to Syria, secret meetings and investment talks. Over in Syria, the newspaper Haaretz revealed that secret meetings were held in recent months between Israeli security officials and representatives of the new Syrian regime, with Qatari mediation. The aim was to exchange messages and open a channel to ease regional tensions. Khan also reported that Syrian officials and businessmen have reached out to Israeli counterparts to explore investment opportunities, following President Trump's announcement that sanctions on Syria would be lifted. The U.S. State Department confirmed its support for a peaceful future in Syria and its commitment to executing Trump's decision to halt sanctions. In a related development, Yedioth Ahronoth reported that Tel Aviv has quietly opened diplomatic channels with Syria's new government, with some meetings reportedly taking place in Baku, Azerbaijan. The paper added that Israel sees the U.S. decision to lift sanctions as an opportunity to bring Syria into the Abraham Accords. Iran nuclear talks continue with uncertainty. Moving to U.S. Iran nuclear negotiations, the website Axios, citing American sources, said the Trump administration submitted a written proposal to Iran during the fourth round of nuclear talks. Iran's foreign minister returned to Tehran to consult with leadership over the offer. According to Reuters, an informed Iranian source said the talks are still facing gaps on major issues. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated, "These negotiations show that other sides can impose their will on Iran through military means. Our defense and missile capabilities give our negotiators strength and confidence." He added that Iran had sent several written clarifications to the U.S. side, but hasn't received any written responses so far. Meanwhile, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard accused Trump of trying to spread despair among Iranians, saying, "We won't be defeated diplomatically, just as we weren't defeated militarily. Trump is Soleimani's killer. We won't forget, and there will be no friendship with murderers." In contrast, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff said, "Iran is going through a critical phase and will likely offer historic concessions. We expect progress in Syria soon." Tensions between Israel and Europe, and an unexpected Ukrainian admission. Meanwhile, Israel is facing diplomatic trouble with Europe. The Israeli newspaper Calculist warned of a potential earthquake in EU-Israel relations after the Dutch government called for a comprehensive review of the EU-Israel Partnership Agreement, the main legal and trade framework between the two. In another surprising turn, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky admitted something serious during a press conference.
Russia's proposal for direct negotiations is actually the right path.
However, he added,
I don't know what will come of it. It's like walking blind, led by both Trump and Putin.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, during a visit to Turkey, said,
Any progress in Ukraine negotiations depends largely on a possible meeting between Presidents Trump and Putin.
He added,
No date has been set yet. We'll decide after the Istanbul negotiations. Let's see what happens tomorrow before choosing a time and place.
Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova confirmed that
the goal of the Istanbul talks is to eliminate the root causes of the conflict and achieve lasting peace, following President Putin's instructions.
She noted that Putin proposed starting the talks on May 15th without any preconditions, after previous efforts were blocked by then UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Thanks so much for watching the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Here at S News, we're committed to delivering fair and traditional journalism. See you in the next video.